It's 11:47 p.m. You're telling yourself just one more episode, just one more scroll. You'll catch up on sleep this weekend. You've heard this lie before. You've told it to yourself 100 times. Meanwhile, you've optimized everything else. The gym membership, the meal prep Sundays, the supplements lined up like soldiers on your kitchen counter. But that thing you're sacrificing to fit it all in, it might matter more than all of it combined. I'm going to tell you about a study that just changed how researchers think about longevity, and it's going to make you rethink everything you thought you knew about staying alive longer. If I asked you what predicts how long you'll live, you'd probably say diet, exercise, maybe genetics. Those are the usual suspects, the ones plastered across every wellness magazine. But Oregon Health and Science University just dropped a bombshell. They analyzed data from over 3,000 U.S. counties, that's nearly every county in America, and found something nobody expected. The second strongest predictor of whether you'll die early? Not diet, not exercise, not loneliness. It's whether you're getting enough sleep. Only smoking showed a stronger link. Sleep, the thing most of us sacrifice first, turns out to be the thing that matters most, after not smoking, obviously. Let that sink in for a second. Now, before we go further, this isn't some small pilot study with 30 college students. This is massive. The researchers used CDC data collected between 2019 and 2025, covering the entire United States. They treated each county as a data point. Think about that. Over 3,000 natural experiments happening simultaneously across America, each with different sleep patterns, different lifestyles, different outcomes. The question was simple. What actually predicts life expectancy at the population level? What moves the needle when you zoom out and look at entire communities? They controlled for the usual suspects: income, education, healthcare access, the things we know affect how long people live. And then they looked at behavioral factors. Here's the headline finding. Insufficient sleep is the second strongest predictor of shorter life expectancy in America, surpassed only by smoking habits. That's not a typo. The researchers put it bluntly, and I'm quoting here, as a behavioral driver for life expectancy, sleep stood out more than diet, more than exercise, more than loneliness. Indeed, more than any other factor except smoking. Diet, exercise, social connection, all the things we've been told to optimize, and sleep, the thing we casually sacrifice, swamped them all. Now, let's be clear about what insufficient sleep means. It's not some arbitrary number pulled from thin air. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine defines sufficient sleep as at least 7 hours per night for adults. 7 hours. That's the threshold. Below that, you're in the danger zone. And according to the CDC, about 1 in 3 American adults aren't hitting that mark. 1 in 3. Think about your friend group, your office, your family. Statistically, a third of those people are chronically sleep deprived. And based on this research, that's a bigger problem than we realized. But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't just about correlation. The researchers specifically designed the study to address something that usually plagues sleep research. See, when you follow individuals over time, it's hard to know if poor sleep causes bad health or if bad health causes poor sleep. It's the classic chicken and egg problem. By using county-level data, the OHSU team could look at patterns across populations. Counties with higher rates of insufficient sleep had lower life expectancies, even after controlling for healthcare access and socioeconomic factors. Now, some researchers have raised valid concerns. County-level data can't capture individual experiences. There might be other factors, pollution, crime rates, job stress, that affect both sleep and longevity. That's fair. And the researchers acknowledge this. Correlation doesn't automatically mean causation. That's Science 101. But the signal here is strong enough that it demands attention. And there's more. Stanford Medicine just released research on their new AI system called SleepFM. They trained it on 585,000 hours of sleep data from 65,000 participants. Here's what's remarkable. This AI can predict your risk for over 130 different diseases just from one night's sleep: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, mental health conditions, all from how you sleep. The Stanford team described it this way: SleepFM is essentially learning the language of sleep. Your body is broadcasting information all night long. We're just now learning to listen. Think about what that means. Sleep isn't just rest. It's not downtime. It's an active biological process where your body is healing, consolidating memories, clearing metabolic waste from your brain. When you cut that process short, you're not just tired the next day, you're interrupting maintenance that your body desperately needs to function properly. The research on children is equally striking. Elementary school-age kids who get less than 9 hours of sleep show measurable differences in brain regions responsible for memory and emotional well-being. Not behavioral differences, not test score differences. Actual structural changes in the brain. Sleep shapes how our brains develop, and apparently how long our bodies last. So why does sleep matter so much? The mechanisms are actually well documented. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone, which repairs tissue and builds muscle. Your immune system kicks into high gear. Your brain flushes out toxic proteins through the lymphatic system, a waste clearance mechanism that only works when you're asleep. Skip that process night after night, and those toxins accumulate. Some researchers believe this is connected to Alzheimer's disease, though we're still understanding the full picture. Chronic sleep deprivation also wreaks havoc on your hormones. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, spikes. Leptin, which tells you're full, drops. Sound familiar? That's why sleep-deprived people tend to overeat. It's not willpower failure. It's biology. Your hormones are literally screaming for more food because your body thinks something is wrong. Cortisol, your stress hormone, also stays elevated when you don't sleep enough. Chronic high cortisol is linked to weight gain, high blood pressure, and weakened immune function. Your body interprets chronic sleep deprivation as a state of emergency, and when you're in survival mode constantly, your systems start to break down faster. So the OHSU findings make biological sense. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's foundational infrastructure. And when that infrastructure crumbles, everything built on top of it becomes unstable. Okay, so what do you actually do with this information? First, consider reframing how you think about sleep. It's not the thing to sacrifice for productivity, it might be the most productive thing you do. Research suggests that consistency matters as much as duration. Going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time, even on weekends, may help regulate your circadian rhythm. One approach is to pick a wake-up time and protect it like an appointment. Your body clock doesn't know it's Saturday. Sleeping in throws off your rhythm for days afterward. If you're struggling with sleep quality, consider talking to your doctor before investing in more supplements or sleep gadgets. There might be underlying issues, sleep apnea, restless legs, anxiety, that no amount of lavender spray will fix. Screen time before bed is the obvious culprit, but it's not just the blue light, it's the content. Scrolling social media or checking work email activates your brain when you're trying to wind down. Many experts recommend creating a wind-down routine that starts an hour before bed. Dim the lights. Read something calming. Let your nervous system know it's time to shift gears. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I function fine on 6 hours, and maybe you do, for now. But the research on long-term effects is pretty sobering. Sleep debt accumulates over years and decades. The damage isn't always obvious in your 30s or 40s. But it may be quietly contributing to conditions that don't surface until later. The OHSU researchers aren't saying sleep is a magic fix. They're saying it's been dramatically undervalued in our cultural conversation about health, and the data backs that up. Here's a practical experiment you might try for 2 weeks. Prioritize 7 hours of sleep over everything else. Push the gym session to a different time. Skip the late-night show. See how you feel. Track, not just hours, but patterns. Do you feel better after consistent 7-hour nights versus a regular 8-hour nights? Your body might have a preference the research can't capture. And if you're a parent, consider applying this to your kids too. The research on children's brain development makes it clear. Sleep isn't optional for growing minds. It's essential. If this kind of evidence-based health content is useful to you, consider subscribing. We dig into research like this every week. The stuff that actually matters, not the wellness fads. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm probably keeping some of you up right now, talking about how important sleep is. So let me wrap this up. For decades, we've treated sleep like a trade-off. More hours awake meant more hours to be productive, to exercise, to meal prep, to optimize. But the science is telling us something different. Sleep isn't the trade-off. It's the foundation. And according to the largest county-level study ever conducted, it predicts your lifespan better than the exercise bike or the salad. That doesn't mean diet and exercise don't matter. They absolutely do. But maybe we've had the hierarchy wrong. Maybe sleep belongs at the top of the list, not at the bottom. Your grandmother probably knew this instinctively. "Get your rest," she'd say. "Everything looks better after a good night's sleep." Turns out, she was more right than she knew. The OHSU study isn't the final word. Science evolves. But when a study this large using this methodology puts sleep second only to smoking as a predictor of lifespan, that's worth paying attention to. Tonight, when you're tempted to stay up just one more hour, remember this episode. Remember that your body is broadcasting information all night long. Maybe it's time we started listening. Sleep well. Your future self might thank you for it. Remember, this content is for informational purposes only and is consult your doctor.